The patrol lights sliced through the evening air like blades, harsh, sudden, unforgiving. Claire Whitaker sat on the concrete curb outside the Riverside Dance Academy, her scrubs still smelling faintly of antiseptic and blood. Her shoulders ached. Her eyes burned. She'd been awake for 16 hours straight in the ER at Mercy Ridge Hospital, but her daughter's recital ran late, so here she was, waiting, like any other mom. "Ma'am, you can't loiter here." She looked up. 2 officers. One already had his hand near his belt. "I'm waiting for my daughter," Claire said, her voice steady but drained. "Sure you are." His partner smirked. "Let's see some ID." She reached for her bag. That's when the radio crackled. Backup was already on the way. 30 seconds later, armed military units would surround the entire block. And no one, not even Claire, saw it coming. If you want to see how a moment of judgment turned into a reckoning no one expected, stay with me until the very end. Drop a comment and tell me what city you're watching from. I want to see just how far this story travels. The evening had that burnt orange glow that made everything look softer than it was. Claire Whitaker sat on the curb with her knees pulled in slightly, her back against the wrought iron fence of the Riverside Dance Academy. Her scrubs were wrinkled, stained near the hem with something she didn't want to think about. She'd stripped off her badge lanyard and stuffed it into her purse before leaving the hospital. No one needed to see that. Not here. Not now. Inside the studio, she could hear the muffled thump of music and the occasional burst of laughter. Parents lingered by the glass doors, chatting, sipping overpriced lattes from the coffee shop 2 doors down. Claire had tried standing with them earlier. She'd smiled, nodded, made a comment about how talented the kids were. But the conversations always drifted away from her like she wasn't quite part of the circle. One woman had looked at her scrubs with a wrinkled nose. The explosion's echo was still ringing when Emily reached the supply closet. She didn't run. Running drew attention. She walked fast, shoulders tight, eyes scanning every doorway. Behind her, the ER was pandemonium, staff scrambling, patients crying out. And somewhere in that smoke, armed men were moving. She yanked open the supply door and grabbed what she needed: gauze, tape, scissors. Her hands didn't shake. They never did. Not anymore. So Claire sat, alone, waiting. Her daughter, Emma, was 8. Ballet and tap. The kid had rhythm Claire never had, grace that seemed to come from nowhere. Tonight was a rehearsal that had stretched past 7, and Claire had clocked out at 6 after a double shift that started before dawn. She was too tired to stand, too tired to pretend she had the energy to make small talk about soccer schedules and book club meetings. The trauma bay where the SEALs had set up was a war zone now. The blast had come from the hallway outside, a breaching charge, maybe C4. Whoever hit them knew exactly where the military personnel were. This wasn't random. This was targeted. Emily pressed against the wall, peering around the corner. Smoke still hung thick, but she could make out shapes. 3 men in tactical gear, rifles up, moving with precision. Not amateurs, not close. One of them kicked open a patient room. A woman screamed. 2 officers stepped out. One was older, thick around the middle, with a mustache that looked like it hadn't been trimmed in weeks. His name tag read Brennan. The other was younger, lean, with a buzz cut and a walk that said he was still trying to prove something. His tag said Morris. Brennan approached first. "Evening, ma'am." Claire looked up, shielding her eyes from the streetlight behind him. "Evening. You waiting for someone?" "My daughter, she's inside." He glanced at the studio, then back at her. His eyes lingered on her scrubs, on her hair, which was pulled back in a messy ponytail. On the way she sat, hunched and still, like someone who'd been there too long. "How long you been sitting here?" "Maybe 20 minutes." "Uh-huh." He exchanged a look with Morris. "You live around here?" "Not far. Creekside Apartments." Morris stepped closer. "You got ID?" Claire's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice level. "It's in my bag. Mind showing us?" She reached for her purse slowly, deliberately. Her fingers brushed past her wallet, her phone, a crumpled granola bar wrapper, a half-empty bottle of ibuprofen. She pulled out her driver's license and handed it over. Brennan studied it under his flashlight. Claire Elizabeth Whitaker, born 1989. Creekside address checks out. He handed it back. "You work nearby?" "Mercy Ridge Hospital. I'm an ER nurse." "Long shift?" "Double." Garrett swore under his breath but grabbed the other end of the gurney. They pushed through the side door into a maintenance hallway, narrow, dimly lit, lined with piping and electrical boxes. Emily locked the door behind them, then shoved a metal shelving unit in front of it. "That won't hold long," Garrett said. Claire didn't move. "I'm sitting on a public sidewalk waiting for my kid. I haven't done anything wrong." "I didn't say you did. But you're making this harder than it needs to be." She exhaled slowly, then pushed herself to her feet. Her knees popped. Her back protested. She stood there, arms at her sides, waiting. "Turn around." "Excuse me?" "Turn around." Hands on the fence. "You're joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" Garrett's face darkened. "You think this is our fault?" "I think you made yourself a target." Emily tied off the bandage, then grabbed the IV bag and hung it higher. "And I think if you'd let me do my job 10 minutes ago, we wouldn't be hiding in a hallway." Footsteps echoed from the trauma bay. Shouts, the crash of metal. "They're in," Garrett whispered. Emily pointed down the hall. "Service elevator, 30 feet. We move quiet. We move fast." "And if they see us? She clean?" Brennan asked. "Yeah." Claire turned back around. "Are we done?" Brennan ignored her. He was on his radio now. "Dispatch, this is Unit 47. Can you run a name for me? Claire Elizabeth Whitaker, DOB, March 14th, 1989. "I already gave you my ID," Claire said. "Just making sure everything checks out." "It will." "Then you've got nothing to worry about." But his tone said otherwise. It said he'd already decided she was a problem. That sitting outside a dance studio in scrubs after a double shift made her suspicious. That being tired made her drunk. That being a woman alone made her vulnerable. Claire felt the old anger stirring. The kind she'd learned to bury years ago. The kind that didn't help anyone. She'd felt it in Kandahar when a colonel dismissed her field assessment. She'd felt it in the ER when a doctor ignored her warning about a patient's vitals. She'd learned to swallow it, to let it sit in her chest until it went cold. A second patrol car pulled up, then a third. Morris grinned. "Looks like we got a crowd." "This is ridiculous," Claire muttered. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to calm down." "I am calm." "You're raising your voice." She wasn't, but it didn't matter. 4 officers now, all watching her like she was a threat, like she was the problem. One of the new arrivals stepped forward, a woman, mid-40s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense posture. Her name tag read Valdez. "What's the situation?" "Possible public intoxication," Brennan said. "She's been loitering." "I'm waiting for my daughter." Valdez looked at her. "You got proof?" "She's inside. Rehearsal's running late." "Name?" "Emma Whitaker." Valdez walked toward the studio doors. She knocked. A dance instructor opened up. A young woman with her hair in a tight bun looked confused. They spoke briefly. The instructor glanced at Claire, recognition flickering across her face, then nodded. Valdez came back. "Kid's inside. She checks out." Brennan frowned. Still doesn't explain why she was sitting out here for so long. "Because I'm exhausted," Claire said, her voice flat. "Because I worked a double shift, and I didn't want to stand with a bunch of people I don't know. That's not a crime." "Attitude's not helping you, ma'am." Claire bit back a response. She'd been here before. Not this exact scenario, but close enough. She knew how this went. You stayed calm. You cooperated. You waited for them to get bored and leave. But then Brennan stepped closer. "You ever been arrested before?" "No." "Any warrants?" "No." "You sure about that?" Claire's eyes narrowed. "Yes." He smiled, not friendly, just smug. "Dispatch is running it now. We'll see." She wanted to scream. She wanted to tell him that she'd spent the last 12 hours pulling shrapnel out of a teenager's chest, that she'd coded a patient twice and brought him back both times, that she'd held the hand of a dying woman while her family sobbed in the waiting room. She wanted to ask him what the hell he'd done today that mattered. But she didn't, because that's not how this worked. More people had gathered now, parents from the studio, a few teenagers from the tattoo parlor across the street, someone with a smartphone held high, recording everything. Claire could see the little red light. She could imagine the caption already. "Woman harassed by police outside dance studio." Morris noticed the phones too. He shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should—" "We're not done here," Brennan cut him off. Valdez crossed her arms. Brennan, she's clean. The kid's inside. What are we doing? Following protocol. This isn't protocol. This is... The radio on Brennan's shoulder crackled. Unit 47, we have your subject's information. No warrants, no priors, clean record. Brennan's jaw tightened. He clicked the radio. Copy that. Claire raised an eyebrow. Satisfied? Not yet. He turned to Morris. Check her bag. For what? Claire said. Just a precaution. You need a warrant for that. Not if you consent. Then I don't consent. Morris reached for her purse anyway. Claire pulled it back. I said no. Ma'am, if you've got nothing to hide, that's not how the law works. Brennan's face darkened. You a lawyer now? No, but I know my rights. Your rights don't mean much if you keep resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm refusing an illegal search. Valdez stepped between them. Brennan, back off. She's being uncooperative. She's being smart. Valdez looked at Claire. You're free to go. Brennan's hand shot out, gripping Claire's arm. Not yet, she's not. Claire went very still. Let go of me. When I'm ready. I'm not under arrest. You have no cause to detain me. Let go. His grip tightened, and then somewhere in the distance she heard it, a low rumble, deep, mechanical. The officers heard it too. They turned, scanning the street. The rumble grew louder, closer. Headlights appeared at the end of the block. Not patrol cars. Bigger. Heavier. The kind of headlights that didn't belong in a residential neighborhood. Two black armored vehicles rolled into view, moving with deliberate precision. They stopped at both ends of the street, blocking traffic. The engines cut off simultaneously. Doors opened with heavy metallic clunks. Boots hit pavement in perfect unison. Soldiers. Not police. Soldiers. Full tactical gear. Rifles slung across their chests. Night vision goggles pushed up on their helmets. Body armor with patches Claire recognized instantly. Brennan's hand dropped from her arm. What the hell? A commanding officer stepped forward, scanning the scene with cold efficiency. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a face that looked like it had been carved from stone. His eyes locked on Claire. He walked straight toward her. Brennan moved to intercept. Sir, this is a police matter. The soldier didn't even glance at him. He stopped in front of Claire, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, he brought his hand up in a crisp salute. Ma'am? Claire exhaled. Captain Reeves, we've been trying to reach you. I turned my phone off. We noticed. Brennan stammered. Wait, what is this? Who are you people? Reeves finally looked at him. His voice was flat, professional. Military police, and you just detained one of ours. She's a nurse. She's a decorated combat medic with 6 years of service in classified operations. Reeves's voice dropped to ice. And you just ran her like a common criminal. The street went silent. Even the music from inside the studio seemed to pause. Morris looked like he might throw up. Claire crossed her arms. I told them I was waiting for my daughter. Did they verify? Eventually. Reeves turned back to Brennan. Did you confirm her credentials before escalating? She didn't say she was military. She shouldn't have to. Morris shifted uncomfortably. We were just doing our job. No, Reeves said quietly. You were profiling. More soldiers spread out, securing the perimeter. A few approached the patrol cars, checking IDs, taking names. One soldier photographed the scene. Another spoke into a radio, voice low and clipped. Valdez stood off to the side, arms crossed, looking like she wanted to disappear. Brennan's radio crackled. His dispatcher sounded confused, panicked. Unit 47, we're getting calls from federal oversight. What's your status? Brennan clicked off his radio without answering. Claire looked at Reeves. This wasn't necessary. Protocol says otherwise. I was handling it. You shouldn't have had to. One of the younger soldiers approached, a woman with corporal stripes. She handed Reeves a tablet. He glanced at it, then showed it to Brennan. Your body cam footage has been uploaded to a federal server. All phones in the vicinity have been logged. This incident is now under military jurisdiction. Brennan's face went white. You can't do that. We just did. Emma burst through the studio doors, her ballet shoes still on, her face bright with excitement. Then she saw the soldiers, the patrol cars, her mother standing in the middle of it all. She froze. Claire walked over, knelt down. "Hey, sweetheart, everything's okay." "Mom? What's happening?" "Just a misunderstanding. We're going home now." Emma's eyes were wide. She looked at Reeves, at the soldiers, at the guns. "Are you in trouble?" "No, baby, I'm not." Reeves approached, his voice softer. "Ma'am, we'll need a statement." "Not now," Claire said firmly. He hesitated, then nodded. "Understood. We'll follow up tomorrow." Claire took Emma's hand. She walked past Brennan without looking at him, past Morris, past Valdez. None of them said a word. As she buckled Emma into the back seat of her old Honda, she caught Brennan's eye one last time. He looked away first. Claire started the engine and pulled onto the street. In her rearview mirror, she could see the soldiers still there, standing in formation, watching the officers like predators circling prey. Emma's voice was small. "Mom, are you a soldier?" Claire gripped the steering wheel. "I was. A long time ago." "What did you do?" "I helped people." "Like at the hospital?" "Sort of, but in different places, dangerous places." Emma was quiet for a moment. "Did you ever get scared?" Claire glanced at her daughter in the mirror. "All the time." "But you did it anyway?" "Yeah, I did it anyway." They drove in silence for a while. The streets of Riverside blurred past, strip malls, fast food joints, the Creekside apartment sign glowing faintly in the distance. Emma spoke again. "Those police were mean to you." Claire's hands tightened on the wheel. "They were doing their job. But they were wrong." "Yeah, they were." "What's going to happen to them?" Claire didn't answer right away. She thought about Reeves, about the tablet, about the body cam footage already on a federal server, about protocols she knew by heart, procedures that didn't bend. "I don't know, baby, but it's not our problem anymore." When they got home, Claire carried a sleeping Emma up to their second-floor apartment. She tucked her into bed, pulled the blanket up to her chin, kissed her forehead. Then she went into the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her scrubs were a mess. She looked exactly like what she was, a tired, overworked ER nurse who just wanted to sit down for 20 minutes. But that's not what they'd seen. They'd seen someone easy to push around, someone who wouldn't fight back, someone forgettable. Claire pulled out her phone, 12 missed calls, 8 voicemails, 15 texts. Most were from Reeves, a few from people she hadn't spoken to in years, old unit members, a former commanding officer, someone from JAG. She scrolled through the messages. "Saw the alert. You okay? Need anything? They're in deep. This is going federal. Call me when you can." She turned the phone off and set it on the counter. Tomorrow, she'd deal with it. Tomorrow, there'd be statements and interviews, and probably lawyers. Tomorrow, the whole mess would explode into something bigger than a misunderstanding outside a dance studio. But tonight, she was just tired. She peeled off her scrubs, took a shower that lasted longer than it should have, and crawled into bed. Sleep didn't come easy. She kept seeing Brennan's face, the smug confidence, the way he'd grabbed her arm, the assumption that she was nothing, nobody. Around 2 in the morning, her phone buzzed. She'd turned it back on out of habit. A single text from Reeves. "Press got wind of it. Story breaks at 6. You ready?" Claire stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back, "I'm always ready." She set the phone down and closed her eyes. By dawn, the story would be everywhere. By noon, Brennan's name would be trending. By the end of the week, everything would change. But right now, in the quiet dark of her apartment, Claire Whitaker was just a mother who'd waited for her daughter outside a dance studio. And that was enough. Met. Morning came too fast. Claire's alarm went off at 5:30. She silenced it, lay there staring at the ceiling for a moment, then forced herself up. Her body ached in ways that had nothing to do with the double shift. Stress, tension, the kind of fatigue that settles into your bones when adrenaline finally wears off. She made coffee. Strong, black, the kind that tasted like regret. Emma was still asleep. Good. Let her stay that way. Claire turned on the local news while she got dressed. The anchor was mid-sentence, but the chyron at the bottom of the screen made her pause. Breaking. Military confronts police after veteran nurse detained. There it was. Footage played. Shaky cell phone video. Claire sitting on the curb, Brennan and Morris surrounding her. The moment she was told to turn around and put her hands on the fence. Then the arrival of the armored vehicles, soldiers stepping out, Reeves walking straight to her. The anchor's voice was breathless. Witnesses say the confrontation lasted nearly 40 minutes. Military personnel arrived on scene and immediately took jurisdiction. Sources tell us the nurse in question is a decorated combat veteran, though her identity has not been officially released. Claire turned it off. Her phone rang. Reeves. She answered. You saw it. Whole country saw it, Reeves said. Federal Review Board is convening this afternoon. Internal Affairs already suspended Brennan pending investigation. Morris is on desk duty. That was fast. It's protocol. When military personnel are involved, civilian oversight doesn't get to drag their feet. Claire poured more coffee. I didn't ask for this. You didn't have to. The moment he grabbed your arm, he triggered a federal incident. You know the rules. I know the rules. Doesn't mean I wanted them applied. Too late now. JAG wants a statement. So does the press. I'm not talking to the press. That's your call. But they're already camped outside your building. Claire looked out the window. Sure enough, 3 news vans, reporters setting up cameras, a small crowd gathering. She sighed. Great. You need security? I need people to leave me alone. Not going to happen. This thing's too big now. Reeves paused. Look, you've got options. You can lawyer up, stay quiet, let the system handle it, or you can control the narrative before someone else does. I'm a nurse, not a spokesperson. You're also the person everyone's going to be talking about for the next week. Might as well make sure they get it right. Claire hung up without answering. Emma wandered into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. Why are there people outside? Just some reporters, baby. Nothing to worry about. Are they here because of last night? Claire knelt down, brushed a strand of hair from Emma's face. Yeah, but it's okay. We're okay. Are you going to be on TV? I hope not. But even as she said it, she knew it was a lie. By the time Claire dropped Emma off at school, the story had spread beyond local news. National outlets picked it up. Social media exploded, hashtags formed. Hashtag Justice for Claire was trending by 9 a.m. She didn't ask for it, didn't want it, but it was happening anyway. At the hospital, things were worse. Claire walked into Mercy Ridge ER at 10, hoping to lose herself in work. Instead, she was met by the charge nurse, a stern woman named Patricia, who'd been there longer than anyone. Director wants to see you, Patricia said. Now? Now. The director's office was on the 3rd floor. Glass walls, sterile furniture, motivational posters that meant nothing. Director Hammond was a small man with thinning hair and a permanent expression of mild irritation. He gestured to a chair. Sit. Claire sat. Hammond folded his hands on his desk. I assume you've seen the news. Hard to miss. This puts the hospital in a difficult position. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't say you did, but the optics are complicated. The optics, Claire repeated, her voice flat. We're a public institution. We can't afford to be seen as taking sides in a police matter. There are no sides. I was harassed. The military intervened. That's it. Hammond shifted uncomfortably. The board is concerned about potential backlash. There are officers who use this hospital, their families. We can't alienate. So you're asking me to what? Apologize? I'm asking you to keep a low profile. Claire stood. I sat on a curb waiting for my daughter. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But I'm not apologizing for being mistreated. Claire, if the board has a problem with that, they can take it up with me directly. She walked out before he could respond. Back in the ER, the stares followed her. Some sympathetic, some curious, a few hostile. One of the doctors, an older man named Kerrigan, cornered her near the supply closet. You're making things awkward for everyone. I'm just trying to do my job. Your job doesn't include national news coverage. Neither does getting harassed by cops. Kerrigan's face reddened. My brother-in-law is a police officer. Good man. Works hard. You're making them all look bad. I didn't make anyone look bad. They did that themselves. You could have just cooperated. Claire stared at him. I did cooperate. And I still got treated like a criminal. Maybe if you hadn't been sitting there looking like what? He didn't finish the sentence. Just walked away. Claire leaned against the wall, closed her eyes, took a breath. This was going to be a long day. By lunch, 3 more reporters had called the hospital asking for comments. Hammond sent out a memo instructing staff not to speak to the press. It didn't help. Someone leaked Claire's work schedule. By 2 p.m., photographers were camped outside the ER entrance. Claire saw a patient with chest pain, another with a broken arm, a kid who'd swallowed a penny. Normal stuff. The kind of work that kept her grounded. But between patients, her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from old friends, people she hadn't spoken to in years, some supportive, some asking for interviews, a few accusing her of stirring up trouble. One message stood out, from a number she didn't recognize. "You don't know what you've started. Back off before this gets worse." Claire deleted it. Another message, this one from a reporter. "I'd love to tell your side of the story. Let's talk." She blocked the number. At 4 p.m., Patricia found her again. "There's someone here to see you." "Who?" "Lawyer," Claire frowned. "I didn't call a lawyer." "Well, one's here anyway." The man waiting in the consultation room was in his 50s, sharp suit, expensive watch. He stood when Claire entered. "Miss Whitaker, I'm David Hale. I represent the Civil Rights Litigation Group." "I didn't ask for representation." "I know, but your case has drawn significant attention. We'd like to help." "Help how?" "File a federal lawsuit, police misconduct, violation of civil rights, unlawful detention. We believe you have a strong case." Claire crossed her arms. "I haven't decided if I want to file anything." "With respect, that decision may be made for you. The military's already involved. Federal oversight is reviewing the incident. If you don't take control of this narrative, someone else will." "I don't care about the narrative. I care about my daughter and my job." Hale leaned forward. "Then let us protect both. If this goes sideways, the department will look for ways to discredit you. They'll dig into your past, your service record, your personal life. They'll find something, anything, to shift blame. There's nothing to find. There's always something. A bad performance review, a complaint from a patient. Doesn't matter if it's true. They'll use it." Claire sat down slowly. "So you want me to sue?" "I want you to have options. Right now, you're reactive. A lawsuit puts you in control." "And what do you get out of it?" Hale smiled. "Publicity, precedent. And if we win, a percentage of the settlement. But mostly, we get to hold a broken system accountable." Claire didn't answer right away. She thought about Brennan's smug face, about the way he'd grabbed her arm, about Emma's frightened eyes when she saw the soldiers. Finally, she said, "I need time to think." "Of course, but don't wait too long. The longer you stay silent, the more others will define what happened." Hale left his card on the table and walked out. Claire sat there for a long time, staring at it. When her shift ended, she slipped out through a side exit to avoid the cameras. She picked up Emma from after-school care, drove home in silence. Inside the apartment, she made dinner, mac and cheese, Emma's favorite. They ate in front of the TV, a sitcom Emma liked, something mindless and safe. Halfway through, Emma spoke. "Mom, are you going to be okay?" Claire looked at her daughter, 8 years old, too young to understand what was happening, but old enough to know something was wrong. "Yeah, baby, I'm going to be okay." "Promise?" Claire pulled her close. "Promise." But as she said it, she wondered if it was true, because tomorrow, the federal review would begin. Tomorrow, lawyers and investigators would start asking questions. Tomorrow, the whole machinery of justice would start grinding forward. And Claire Whitaker, the quiet ER nurse who just wanted to wait for her daughter in peace, was standing right in the middle of it, whether she wanted to be or not. The hearing was scheduled for 9 a.m. in a federal building downtown that looked like it had been designed to intimidate. All concrete and glass, security checkpoints every 20 feet, metal detectors that beeped if you so much as wore a belt buckle. Claire arrived early, dressed in slacks and a blazer she'd bought specifically for this. She felt like she was wearing someone else's skin. David Hale met her in the lobby. "You ready?" "No." "Good. Means you're taking this seriously." He handed her a folder. Review board is 3 people. Federal prosecutor, a military liaison, and a civilian oversight rep. They'll ask questions, answer honestly, don't elaborate, don't speculate. "I know how this works." "Do you?" Claire looked at him. I spent 6 years answering to people who could end my career with a signature. Yeah, I know how this works. Hale nodded. Then let's go. The hearing room was smaller than she expected. A long table at one end, 3 chairs behind it, a single chair facing them, isolated in the middle of the room like an accused witch at trial. No windows. Fluorescent lights that hummed. The review board filed in. The federal prosecutor was a woman in her 40s, sharp-eyed, no makeup, the kind of face that had heard every excuse and believed none of them. The military liaison was a colonel Claire didn't recognize, older, with ribbons on his chest that told a story of decades in uniform. The civilian rep was younger, maybe 30, nervous energy, taking notes before anyone even spoke. The prosecutor sat first. Ms. Whitaker, thank you for coming. I didn't have much choice. You always have a choice. The woman opened a file. My name is Karen Delacroix. This is Colonel Ashford and Mr. Navarro. We're here to establish the facts of the incident on April 15th outside the Riverside Dance Academy. Do you understand the purpose of this hearing? You're deciding if the officers violated my rights. We're deciding if federal intervention is warranted. There's a difference. Claire didn't respond. Delacroix glanced at her notes. Walk me through the evening. Start from when you arrived at the studio. Claire took a breath. I got there around 6:40. My daughter's rehearsal was running late. I waited outside because I was tired and didn't feel like standing with the other parents. Why not? Because I'd just worked a 16-hour shift and I wanted to sit down. Did anyone ask you to leave? Not at first. I sat on the curb for maybe 20 minutes, then the patrol car showed up. Officer Brennan and Officer Morris. I didn't know their names at the time, but yes. What happened next? They asked if I was waiting for someone. I said yes. They asked for ID. I gave it to them. And then? They asked if I'd been drinking. I said no. They didn't believe me. Delacroix leaned forward. What gave you that impression? The way Brennan looked at me, like he'd already decided I was lying. Did you give him reason to think that? Claire's jaw tightened. No. But he asked you to stand. You complied. Eventually. Why the hesitation? Because I hadn't done anything wrong. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. I'm allowed to sit on a public sidewalk. I don't need permission. Colonel Ashford spoke for the first time. His voice was gravelly, worn. Ms. Whitaker, no one's questioning your rights. We're trying to understand the sequence of events. The sequence is simple. I sat down. They showed up. They treated me like a criminal. Then the military arrived and suddenly everyone remembered how to act professional. Navarro, the civilian rep, scribbled something. When did you first feel unsafe? Claire paused. When Brennan grabbed my arm. Before that? When Morris searched me without cause. Did you tell them you felt unsafe? I told them I hadn't done anything wrong. I told them I was waiting for my daughter. I told them I didn't consent to a search. They didn't care. Delacroix flipped a page. According to the incident report, Officer Brennan states you were uncooperative and evasive. I answered every question. He says you raised your voice. I didn't. He says you pulled away when Officer Morris attempted to secure your bag because he didn't have a warrant or probable cause or consent. Miss Whitaker, you're a nurse, not a lawyer. I'm also a veteran. I know my rights. The room went quiet. Ashford studied her. Your service record is impressive. Combat medic, attached to special operations, multiple commendations. Why didn't you tell the officers? I shouldn't have to, but it might have de-escalated the situation. Claire leaned forward. So I'm supposed to waive my credentials every time a cop stops me? That's the standard now? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Ashford didn't answer. Delacroix took over. Let's talk about the military response. Captain Reeves arrived with a tactical unit. Did you call him? No, I turned my phone off. Then how did he know? I don't know. You'd have to ask him. We did. He said your location is tracked as part of a veteran support protocol. Were you aware of this? Claire hesitated. Vaguely. Vaguely. It was explained when I separated from service. I signed paperwork. I didn't think it would ever matter. But it did. And within minutes of your detention, a federal response was triggered. I didn't trigger anything. I was sitting on a curb. Delacroix sat back. Ms. Whitaker, do you believe Officer Brennan targeted you because of your appearance? I think he saw a tired woman in scrubs and made assumptions. What kind of assumptions? That I was drunk, or high, or homeless. I don't know. But he didn't see a nurse. He didn't see a veteran. He saw someone easy to push around. Do you believe this was racially motivated? Claire blinked. I'm white. But you were dressed in a way that suggested... That suggested what? That I work for a living? Navarro cleared his throat. Ms. Whitaker, the board is trying to determine if systemic bias played a role. The bias was against someone who looked tired and poor. That's it. Delacroix made a note. Do you want Officer Brennan fired? I want him held accountable. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. The questioning went on for another hour. They circled the same details over and over. What time did you arrive? What did Brennan say? What did you say? How did you feel? Why didn't you comply faster? Why didn't you identify yourself? By the end, Claire's head was pounding. Delacroix closed her file. We'll review the evidence and issue a preliminary finding within 2 weeks. You're free to go. Claire stood. That's it? For now. So I just wait. That's how the process works. Claire walked out. Hale was waiting in the hallway. How'd it go? They think I should have told Brennan I was a veteran, like that would have made him less of an asshole. Hale grimaced. They're looking for an easy answer. Veteran gets mistreated, system apologizes, everyone moves on. What if I don't want to move on? Then we file the lawsuit. Claire rubbed her temples. I need to think. You've got 2 weeks. Use them. But the 2 weeks didn't go the way Claire expected. The story kept growing. More witnesses came forward. A woman who'd been stopped by Brennan 3 months earlier under similar circumstances. A teenager who'd been searched without cause. A man who'd filed a complaint that went nowhere. The pattern was obvious. Brennan had a history, and no one had done anything about it. The police union issued a statement defending him. Officer Brennan is a dedicated public servant with over 15 years of experience. The incident in question was a routine welfare check that was mischaracterized by outside parties. We stand by our officers. The backlash was immediate. Social media exploded. Protesters gathered outside the police station. Signs that read, "Accountability now," and "No more excuses." Claire didn't join them. She went to work. She picked up Emma from school. She tried to keep her life normal, but normal was gone. At the hospital, the tension was getting worse. Kerrigan stopped speaking to her entirely. A few other doctors followed suit. One nurse, a younger woman named Stephanie, pulled Claire aside in the break room. You've got people scared, Stephanie said. I'm not trying to scare anyone. Doesn't matter. Half the staff thinks you're a hero. The other half thinks you're stirring up trouble for no reason. I got harassed. That's not no reason. I know. I'm on your side. But you need to know what people are saying. What are they saying? Stephanie hesitated. That you're making it harder for the rest of us. That you're turning a small incident into a witch hunt. That the hospital's going to lose funding if this keeps up. Claire stared at her. You think this is small? I think it's complicated. It's not. A cop abused his power. That's it. But now the whole department's under review. Officers are getting pulled off the street. Response times are up. People are blaming you. I didn't pull anyone off the street. I sat on a curb. Stephanie looked away. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. Claire went back to work, but the conversation stuck with her. People are blaming you. As if she'd asked for any of this. As if she'd wanted her face on the news. As if she'd planned to become the center of a national conversation about police reform. That night, Emma asked her a question that made everything worse. Mom, are we going to have to move? Claire looked up from the dishes. What? No. Why would you think that? Because Mia's mom said we're causing problems. Mia from school? Emma nodded. She said her dad's a cop and he's in trouble because of you. Claire set down the plate. Carefully. What exactly did she say? That you got cops in trouble and now they can't do their jobs. And that her dad might lose his job. Claire knelt down. Emma, listen to me. I didn't get anyone in trouble. A police officer did something wrong. That's not my fault. But Mia said, I don't care what Mia said, or her mom. What happened to me wasn't okay. And if other people did bad things too, that's on them. Not me. Emma's eyes filled with tears. But everyone's mad at you. Not everyone. It feels like everyone. Claire pulled her close. I know, but we're going to be okay. Promise? Claire wanted to. She wanted to promise that everything would go back to normal, that the stares would stop, that the reporters would leave, that people would stop treating her like she'd committed a crime by refusing to be a victim. But she couldn't, because it was only going to get worse. The preliminary finding came back in 10 days, not 2 weeks. Hale called her at work. They're recommending federal charges, he said. Claire stepped into an empty exam room. Against Brennan and Morris, civil rights violations, unlawful detention, abuse of authority. What does that mean? It means this is going to trial, and you're going to be the star witness. Claire leaned against the wall. I didn't ask for this. You think that matters? You're the face of this now. The nurse who stood up to a dirty cop. The veteran who refused to back down. That's the story. I don't want to be a story? Too late. You already are. The news broke that afternoon. Federal charges filed against 2 Riverside officers in the detention of a military veteran. Claire's name was in every headline, her face on every screen. The hospital's phone lines lit up, supporters calling to praise her, detractors calling to threaten her. Hammond called her into his office again. This is becoming untenable, he said. I'm doing my job. Your job is to treat patients, not to be a media spectacle. I didn't choose to be a spectacle. But you're not doing anything to stop it. Claire stared at him. What do you want me to do? Apologize for being harassed? I want you to think about the hospital, about your colleagues, about the patients who depend on us. I think about them every day. Then maybe it's time to consider a leave of absence. The words hit like a slap. You're suspending me. I'm suggesting you take some time, let things cool down. I haven't done anything wrong. You've become a distraction. Because I got detained by a cop who had no reason to stop me. Hammond folded his hands. Claire, I'm not the enemy here. Then stop acting like one. She walked out before he could respond. Patricia was waiting outside, arms crossed. He's an idiot, Patricia said. I'm not taking a leave. I know, but he's scared. The board's putting pressure on him. They think you're a liability. I'm a liability because I wouldn't let a cop violate my rights? You're a liability because you're making powerful people uncomfortable. Claire laughed, bitter. Good. But that night, lying in bed, she wasn't so sure. Emma was asleep in the next room. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. Claire stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had changed in less than 2 weeks. Her job was on the line. Her daughter was being bullied. Strangers were sending her hate mail. And somewhere in Riverside, Officer Brennan was probably sleeping just fine, secure in the knowledge that the system would protect him. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You should have kept your mouth shut. Claire deleted it. Another buzzed in immediately. Hope it was worth it. She turned the phone off. The next morning, Claire dropped Emma off at school and noticed something different. The other parents weren't just avoiding her, they were glaring. One woman, someone Claire had exchanged pleasantries with a dozen times, turned her back entirely. Claire walked Emma to the door. Have a good day, baby. You too, Mom. As Claire turned to leave, a voice stopped her. Miss Whitaker? The principal. A tall woman with graying hair and a permanent expression of mild concern. Can I speak with you for a moment? They stepped into the hallway. Is Emma okay? Claire asked. Emma's fine, but we've had some complaints. About what? About the situation. Some parents are uncomfortable. Claire's blood went cold. Uncomfortable how? They're concerned about the attention, the media coverage, the protests. They don't want their children exposed to that kind of conflict. Emma hasn't done anything. I know, but the association is that her mother was harassed by a cop, and people don't like that she didn't just take it quietly. The principal sighed. Ms. Whitaker, I'm not taking a position on what happened, but I have to think about the whole school community. What are you saying? I'm saying it might be best if Emma stayed home for a few days, just until things settle down. Claire stepped closer. You're expelling her. I'm suggesting a temporary absence. Because of something I didn't do. Because of the disruption. The disruption is other parents being bigots. Ms. Whitaker, no, you don't get to punish my daughter because other people have a problem with me. The principal's face hardened. I'm trying to find a solution that works for everyone. Then tell those parents to mind their own business. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Claire walked out. She sat in her car, hands shaking, and called Hale. They're coming after Emma now, she said. Who? The school, parents, everyone. They want her to stay home because I'm making people uncomfortable. Hale was quiet for a moment. That's retaliation. Can they do that? They can try, but it's not legal. So what do I do? You let me handle it, and you start thinking seriously about that lawsuit. Claire hung up. She drove to the hospital, but when she got there, Patricia stopped her at the nurse's station. Hammond's looking for you. I'm sure he is. He's got someone with him, HR. Claire's stomach dropped. Great. The meeting was short. Hammond and a woman from Human Resources, both sitting across from Claire like judges at a sentencing. We've decided to place you on administrative leave, Hammond said. For how long? Indefinitely. You're firing me. We're protecting the hospital. By punishing me. The HR woman spoke up. Ms. Whitaker, this is a temporary measure while we assess the ongoing situation. The ongoing situation is that I was harassed and you're too scared to stand by me. That's not fair, Hammond said. Fair would be supporting your staff. This is cowardice. Claire stood. I'll be filing a complaint and a lawsuit and anything else my lawyer suggests. She walked out. This time, Patricia didn't follow. In the parking lot, Claire sat in her car and screamed. Just once, loud and raw and full of everything she'd been holding in for 2 weeks. Then she started the engine and drove home. Emma was already there. The school had called her to pick her up early. Some incident with another student. Something about Claire's name being mentioned. Details were vague. Emma's face was blotchy from crying. I hate it here. Claire held her. I know, baby. I know. Why is everyone so mean? Because people are scared. And when people are scared, they get mean. But you didn't do anything bad. I know. Then why are they punishing us? Claire didn't have an answer for that. That night, after Emma finally fell asleep, Claire sat at the kitchen table with a glass of wine she hadn't touched and Hale's card in her hand. She called him. I want to file the lawsuit, she said. You're sure? I've lost my job. My daughter's being bullied. People are sending me death threats. What else do I have to lose? Your privacy. Your peace of mind. This is going to get uglier before it gets better. It's already ugly. Hale was quiet for a moment. Okay, I'll draw up the papers. We'll file by the end of the week. What happens then? Then we go to war. Claire hung up. She looked around her apartment. The peeling wallpaper, the cheap furniture, the life she'd built from nothing after leaving the military. All of it felt fragile now, like it could collapse with one more push. But she wasn't backing down. Not now. Not ever. The lawsuit was filed on a Friday. By Monday, the media circus had tripled. Cameras outside her building, reporters calling at all hours, strangers recognizing her at the grocery store. Some were supportive. Most weren't. One man followed her through the produce section, shouting about how she was destroying good cops. A woman spit at her feet outside the pharmacy. A teenager filmed her buying milk and posted it online with the caption, "This is what entitlement looks like." Claire stopped going out unless she had to. Hale arranged for private security. A guy named Marcus, ex-military, who stood outside her door at night and walked her to her car in the morning. This is insane, Claire said. This is what happens when you challenge power, Marcus replied. I didn't challenge power. I sat on a curb. And they decided that was a threat. Claire didn't argue. Because he was right. The trial date was set. 3 months away. Hale started building the case. Witness statements. Body cam footage. Expert testimony on police procedure. Claire went through the motions. Answered questions. Reviewed documents. Tried to keep Emma's life as normal as possible. But normal was a memory. One night, someone threw a brick through her living room window. The note attached said, "Leave town or else." Marcus called the police. They took a report. Did nothing. Claire swept up the glass and hung a blanket over the broken window. Emma didn't say anything, just stared. "We're okay," Claire said. Emma nodded, but her eyes said otherwise. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Claire was at the grocery store, Marcus trailing a few steps behind, when a woman approached her. Mid-50s, well-dressed, angry. "You're ruining lives," the woman said. Claire kept walking. "My husband's a cop. 20 years on the force. Because of you, they're treating him like a criminal." "I didn't do anything to your husband. You started this whole witch hunt." Claire stopped, turned. "Your husband should be fine if he hasn't done anything wrong." "How dare you?" "How dare I what? Stand up for myself?" The woman's face turned red. "You people always play the victim." "You people?" "You know what I mean." Claire stepped closer. "No, say it. What people?" The woman faltered. "I just meant..." "You meant people who don't shut up when they're told. People who think they have rights. That's what you meant." The woman turned and walked away, muttering. Marcus touched Claire's shoulder. "We should go." They left. But Claire's hands were shaking. That night she got a call from Hale. "We've got a problem." "What now?" "Brennan's lawyer is arguing that you instigated the confrontation, that you were loitering with intent to provoke a response." Claire laughed, bitter. "I was waiting for my daughter. They're saying you knew the patrol route, that you positioned yourself deliberately." "That's insane." "Doesn't matter. They're filing a countersuit. Defamation. Emotional distress. They're asking for $2 million. Claire sat down. "They're suing me." "Welcome to the justice system." "Can they do that?" "They can try. Won't hold up, but it'll drag things out, make everything messier." Claire closed her eyes. "How much worse can this get?" Hale didn't answer, and 2 days later she found out. Emma came home from a play date early. Her friend's mother had called, voice tight, saying something had come up. When Claire picked her up, Emma's face was pale. "What happened?" Claire asked. "Mia's mom said I can't come over anymore." "Did she say why?" Emma's lip trembled. "She said you're dangerous." Claire's vision went red. "She said what?" "She said you're making trouble and she doesn't want me around Mia." Claire drove straight to Mia's house, knocked on the door, hard. Mia's mother answered, her expression shifting from surprise to annoyance. "Ms. Whitaker, you told my daughter I'm dangerous." "I told her the truth. The truth is I was harassed by a cop. That's it. The truth is you're dragging this whole community through the mud for your 15 minutes of fame." Claire's hands clenched. "I'm protecting my rights. And my daughter's." "That makes you uncomfortable, that's your problem." "Your daughter is the problem. She's disruptive, emotional. The other kids are scared of her. Because of what you're telling them. I'm telling them to stay away from trouble. And your trouble." Claire stepped closer. "If you ever speak to my daughter again, if you ever make her feel like she's done something wrong, I will make your life a living hell. Do you understand me?" Mia's mother's eyes widened. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm promising you." Claire turned and walked back to the car. Emma was watching through the window, eyes wide. "Mom, are you okay?" "Yeah, baby, I'm okay." But she wasn't. That night, Claire sat on the floor of her apartment, back against the couch, staring at nothing. Her phone rang. Reeves. "You okay?" he asked. "No." "I heard about the countersuit." "Of course you did." "You need help?" "I need this to be over." Reeves was quiet for a moment. "It's not going to be, not for a while, but you're not alone." "Feels like I am." "You're not. You've got people watching your back, more than you know." "Who?" "People who've been where you are. People who know what it's like to be targeted for doing the right thing." Claire wiped her eyes. "I didn't even do anything right. I just sat down." And that was enough. They talked for a few more minutes. Reeves told her about a support group, veterans who'd gone through similar situations, people who understood. "I'll think about it," Claire said. "Don't think too long." After they hung up, Claire sat there for a long time. Then her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "This is just the beginning." Claire stared at it. Then she stood, walked to the kitchen, and poured the untouched glass of wine down the sink. She wasn't giving up, not yet. But as she climbed into bed that night, one thought kept circling. How much more could she take before something inside her finally broke? And what would happen when it did? The answer came 3 days later, though not in a way Claire expected. She woke to Emma screaming. Claire was out of bed before her eyes fully opened, feet hitting the cold floor, heart already racing. She burst into Emma's room. Her daughter was sitting up in bed, pointing at the window. Someone had spray painted it. Red letters, dripping. Snitch. Claire pulled Emma close, felt the trembling in her small frame. It's okay. It's just paint. I want to leave. We're not leaving. I hate it here. Claire didn't argue. She called Marcus first, then the police. Marcus arrived in under 10 minutes. The police took 40. The responding officer was young, bored-looking. He took photos with his phone, wrote some notes. Probably just kids. Kids don't spray paint death threats, Claire said. Didn't see a death threat, just saw graffiti. It's intimidation. File a report. We'll look into it. Like you looked into the brick through my window? The officer's expression hardened. Ma'am, we're doing our job. No, you're protecting your own. He closed his notepad. Have a good day, Ms. Whitaker. After he left, Marcus helped Claire clean the window. The paint came off mostly, but left a faint red stain, like a scar. You should move, Marcus said. I can't afford to move. You can't afford not to. Claire looked at him. You think it's going to get worse? I think people are scared, and scared people do stupid things. That afternoon, Hale called. We need to meet. Now. They met at a coffee shop 3 towns over, somewhere Claire wouldn't be recognized. Hale looked tired. More than tired. He looked rattled. What happened? Claire asked. Hale slid a folder across the table. Brennan's team leaked your service records. Claire opened it. Pages and pages. Her deployment history. Medical evaluations. Incident reports from Afghanistan. Things that were supposed to be sealed. How did they get this? I don't know, but it's out there. All of it. Claire scanned the pages. There was a report from a mission in Kandahar, a firefight that went bad. 3 wounded, 1 KIA. Claire had been the medic. She'd done everything right, but the soldier died anyway. 18 years old, name was Rodriguez. She still saw his face sometimes. They're using this? Claire asked. They're building a narrative. That you're unstable. That you have PTSD. That the incident with Brennan was you projecting trauma onto an innocent cop. That's insane. That's litigation. Hale leaned forward. They're going to paint you as damaged, as someone who can't handle confrontation, who sees threats where there aren't any. I don't have PTSD. Doesn't matter. They'll find an expert who says you do, or could, or might. Claire closed the folder. So what do? We get ahead of it. We find our own expert. We show that your service record proves competence, not instability. And if that doesn't work, then we go to trial and hope the jury sees through it. Claire left the coffee shop feeling hollowed out. She picked up Emma from Marcus's place, where she'd been staying while Claire dealt with everything. Emma was quiet in the car, too quiet. You okay? Claire asked. Are we in danger? Claire wanted to lie, to say everything was fine, but Emma deserved the truth. I don't know, baby. Maybe. Because of the lawsuit? Because some people don't like that I won't back down. Emma stared out the window. I wish you would. The words hit harder than the brick, harder than the spray paint, harder than anything. Emma, I just want things to be normal again. I do too. Then why don't you just say sorry? Tell them you were wrong. Make it stop. Claire pulled over, turned to face her daughter. Emma, I wasn't wrong. What happened to me was wrong. And if I say sorry, if I back down, then I'm telling you that it's okay for people to treat you like that. Is that what you want? Emma's eyes filled with tears. I want people to stop being mean to us. I know, but sometimes doing the right thing means people are going to be mean, and we have to be strong enough to handle it. I'm not strong. Claire reached over, took her daughter's hand. Yes, you are. You're the strongest person I know. But as she said it, she wondered if she believed it, if either of them were strong enough for what was coming. The leaked records hit the media 2 days later. Headlines screamed about the troubled veteran and her history of trauma. Talk shows debated whether someone with Claire's background should be trusted. Online forums dissected every mission, every decision, every moment of her service. Someone found Rodriguez's family, interviewed his mother. The woman said Claire had done her best, that she didn't blame her, but the damage was done. The narrative was set. Claire Whitaker wasn't a hero, she was broken. The hospital called. Not Hammond this time, someone higher up, a woman named Delgado who sat on the board. "We're terminating your employment," Delgado said. "On what grounds?" "The release of your service records raises concerns about your fitness for duty. Those records are sealed. Someone leaked them illegally. Nevertheless, the board feels it's in the hospital's best interest. The hospital's best interest is covering its ass. Ms. Whitaker, you're not making this easier." "I'm not trying to make it easy. I'm trying to keep my job." "That's no longer an option. Your final paycheck will be mailed within 2 weeks. Your benefits end at the end of the month." Claire hung up. She stared at her phone. Then she threw it across the room. It hit the wall, cracked, but didn't break. She sat on the floor and tried to breathe. Emma found her there an hour later. "Mom?" Claire looked up. "Yeah, baby? Are we going to be okay?" "Yeah, we're going to be okay." But the bills were piling up. Rent was due in a week. Emma needed new shoes, the car needed an oil change, and Claire's bank account was down to $300. She called Hale. "How long until the settlement?" "If we win, 6 months, maybe longer." "I don't have 6 months." "Then find a way to make it work." Claire hung up and started looking for jobs, applied to 3 hospitals in neighboring counties, got rejected within days. One HR rep was honest enough to say why. "Your case is too high profile, we can't afford the attention." Claire applied to urgent care clinics, nursing homes, even a veterinary hospital. Nothing. She was toxic, unemployable. Marcus offered to lend her money. Claire refused. Reeves offered the same. She refused again. She wasn't taking charity. Instead, she took a job at a 24-hour diner, night shift, minimum wage plus tips. It wasn't nursing, but it paid. The first night, she burned herself on the grill. The second night, a drunk customer grabbed her ass. The third night, she broke down crying in the walk-in freezer. But she kept going. Because what else could she do? Emma noticed. Of course she did. Kids always notice. "Why are you working at a restaurant?" Emma asked one morning before school. "Because we need the money." "But you're a nurse." "Not right now, I'm not." "When will you be again?" Claire didn't answer. The support group Reeves mentioned met on Thursday nights in a church basement. Claire went once, sat in the back, listened to other veterans talk about their struggles. PTSD, addiction, unemployment, divorce. One guy, a Marine named Tyrell, talked about being harassed by cops after coming home. Pulled over 6 times in 3 months. Always the same excuse. Broken taillight, suspicious behavior, routine check. "They see the tattoos, the scars, and they think I'm dangerous," Tyrell said. "Like I'm gonna snap. Like I'm a bomb waiting to go off." Claire listened, felt the weight of recognition. After the meeting, Tyrell approached her. "You're the nurse, the one on the news." "Yeah." "How you holding up?" "Barely," Tyrell nodded. "It gets worse before it gets better." "When does it get better?" "I'll let you know when I find out." They talked for a while. Tyrell gave her his number, told her to call if she needed anything. Claire thanked him, but didn't call. She was drowning, but she was drowning alone. The countersuit moved forward. Brennan's lawyer was a shark named Mitchell Cross, mid-40s, slicked back hair, the kind of smile that made you check your wallet. He filed motion after motion, each one designed to delay, to frustrate, to drain resources. Hale fought back, but it was exhausting. "They're bleeding us," Hale said during one of their meetings. "Every motion costs time and money. They know we can't keep this up forever." "So what do? We push for a settlement, take what we can get and move on." "I don't want to settle." "Claire, if this goes to trial, it'll take years, and you might lose." "I'm not backing down," Hale sighed. "Then get ready for a war." The war came faster than expected. Cross filed a motion to compel Claire to undergo a psychiatric evaluation, to prove she was mentally fit to testify, to prove she wasn't projecting trauma. Hale objected. The judge allowed it. The evaluator was a psychiatrist named Dr. Raymond Palmer. 50s, gray beard, wire-rimmed glasses. He met Claire in a sterile office that smelled like disinfectant and old coffee. "Tell me about Kandahar," Palmer said. Claire tensed. "What about it?" The incident with Specialist Rodriguez. Walk me through it. Why? Because it's relevant to your current state of mind. It was 8 years ago. Trauma doesn't have an expiration date. Claire exhaled slowly. We were on patrol. Hit an IED. 3 wounded. Rodriguez was the worst. Shrapnel to the chest. I stabilized him, called for medevac, did everything I could. He died before the chopper arrived. How did that make you feel? How do you think it made me feel? I'm asking you. I felt like I failed. Do you still feel that way? Claire hesitated. Sometimes. Palmer made a note. Do you have nightmares? Occasionally. About Rodriguez? About a lot of things. Do you avoid situations that remind you of combat? I'm a nurse. I see trauma every day. That's not an answer. Then no, I don't avoid it. Palmer asked more questions. About sleep. About anger. About relationships. About Emma. Do you ever feel like you're a danger to your daughter? Claire stood. We're done. Miss Whitaker, I need to complete the evaluation. You're not evaluating me. You're building a case against me. I'm doing my job. So am I. And my job is protecting my daughter from people like you. She walked out. Hale called an hour later. Palmer filed his report. It's bad. How bad? He says you exhibit signs of unresolved trauma, that your reaction to Brennan was disproportionate, that you may be suffering from hypervigilance and emotional dysregulation. Claire laughed, bitter. Of course he does. We can fight it. Get a second opinion. Will it matter? It might. Might isn't good enough. But they got the second opinion anyway. A different psychiatrist. Dr. Laura Vance. Younger, sharper, less interested in narratives than facts. Vance's evaluation was thorough. Hours of interviews, cognitive tests, personality assessments. Her report came back 2 weeks later. Ms. Whitaker shows no signs of PTSD or any other disabling mental health condition. She is cognitively sound, emotionally stable, and fully capable of rational decision-making. Her reaction to the incident with Officer Brennan was appropriate given the circumstances. Hale called with the news. We've got ammunition now. Will it be enough? We're about to find out. The pretrial hearing was scheduled for early November. Both sides would present their cases to the judge, who would decide if there was enough evidence to proceed to trial. Claire wore the same blazer she'd worn to the federal review. It still felt like someone else's skin. The courthouse was packed. Reporters, protesters, police union reps. Claire walked through the crowd with Marcus on one side and Hale on the other. Someone shouted, "Justice for Brennan!" Someone else shouted back, "Accountability now!" Inside, the courtroom was cold and formal. Brennan sat at the defense table with Cross. He looked calm, confident, like he'd already won. Claire sat across from him and tried not to let her hand shake. The judge entered, a woman in her 60s, sharp eyes, no patience for nonsense. Her name was Eleanor Briggs. "Let's get started," Briggs said. Cross stood first. He laid out the defense's argument. Claire had been loitering. Brennan had approached her as part of a routine welfare check. She'd been uncooperative. The situation escalated because of her behavior, not his. Officer Brennan acted within the bounds of his training and authority, Cross said. He had no way of knowing Miss Whitaker's background. He was simply doing his job. Hale stood next. He presented the body cam footage, the witness statements, Vance's psychiatric report, the pattern of complaints against Brennan. Officer Brennan didn't approach Ms. Whitaker out of concern, Hale said. He approached her because he saw someone he thought wouldn't fight back, someone he could intimidate. He was wrong. Briggs listened to both sides, asked questions, reviewed documents. Then she made her ruling. This case will proceed to trial. Discovery will continue. Both parties are expected to conduct themselves professionally. Court is adjourned. Claire exhaled. It wasn't a win, but it wasn't a loss. Outside, the media swarmed. Hale gave a brief statement. Claire said nothing, but as she walked to her car, someone grabbed her arm. She spun. It was a woman, late 30s, angry. "You ruined my brother's life," the woman said. "Let go of me." "He's a good cop. He was just doing his job." Marcus stepped between them. "Back off." The woman didn't move. You're destroying good people for your ego. Claire met her eyes. Your brother grabbed me without cause. That's not good policing. That's abuse. He was protecting the community. He was protecting his ego. The woman shoved Claire. Not hard, but enough. Marcus caught Claire before she stumbled. Security moved in. The woman was escorted away, still shouting. Claire got in her car. Her hands were shaking again. You okay? Marcus asked. No. Want me to drive? No. I've got it. But she didn't. Halfway home, she had to pull over because she couldn't see through the tears. She sat on the side of the road and cried until there was nothing left. Then she drove home. Emma was waiting. Did you win? Not yet, but we're still fighting. When will it be over? I don't know. Emma hugged her. I'm sorry I said I wanted you to give up. Claire held her tight. You don't have to be sorry. I just want you to be happy again. I will be. When this is over. I promise. But that night, lying in bed, Claire wasn't so sure. The trial was set for January, 2 months away. 2 months of fighting, of bleeding money she didn't have, of watching her daughter suffer, 2 months of wondering if any of it was worth it. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Drop the case or we'll make you. Claire stared at it, then she screenshot it, forwarded it to Hale, and blocked the number. Another text came in, different number. Last warning. She blocked that one too, then another. We know where you live. Claire turned off her phone. She got up, checked the locks, checked Emma's room, checked the windows. Then she sat on the couch with a kitchen knife in her lap and waited for morning. It came eventually, gray and cold. Claire made breakfast, eggs and toast. Emma ate in silence. Mom, are we safe? Emma asked. Claire wanted to lie. I'm doing everything I can to keep us safe. That's not an answer. I know. They ate in silence. After dropping Emma at school, Claire drove to the police station. She walked inside, asked to speak to whoever was in charge of threats and harassment. A detective met her. Mid-40s, tired-looking, name tag said Alvarez. What can I do for you? Alvarez asked. Claire showed him the screenshots. I'm being threatened. Alvarez looked at them. Do you know who sent these? No, they're from burner numbers. Have you filed a report? I'm filing one now. Alvarez took down the information, gave Claire a case number, told her they'd look into it. Will you actually? Claire asked. Alvarez met her eyes. I'll do my job, Ms. Whitaker, whether you believe me or not. Claire left. She didn't believe him. That afternoon, Hale called. We've got a problem. What now? Cross filed a motion to dismiss based on insufficient evidence. He's arguing that Brennan's actions were lawful and that you have no case. Can he do that? He can try. The judge will rule next week. And if she grants it, then it's over. Brennan walks. You get nothing. Claire hung up. She sat in her car in the diner parking lot and stared at nothing. Everything she'd fought for, everything she'd lost, her job, her peace, her daughter's innocence, all of it could disappear with one ruling. She went inside, put on her apron, took orders, poured coffee, smiled when customers were rude, nodded when they complained, took it all without breaking, because that's what she did. That's who she was. At the end of her shift, the manager pulled her aside. We're cutting hours next month. You're going to 20 a week. Claire nodded. Okay, 20 hours wouldn't cover rent, wouldn't cover food, wouldn't cover anything. But she nodded anyway. She drove home. Emma was already asleep. Marcus had stayed with her. Rough night? Marcus asked. Rough year. It'll get better. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Claire didn't argue. She thanked him, locked the door behind him, and went to bed. But sleep didn't come. She lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about what came next. The ruling. The trial. The endless grind of fighting a system designed to protect itself. And for what? For justice? For vindication? For the principle of the thing? Or just because she was too stubborn to quit? Her phone buzzed. She turned it back on out of habit. A text from Reeves. Hang in there. You're not alone. Claire stared at it. Then she typed back. Feels like I am. His response came immediately. You're not. Trust me. Claire set the phone down. She wanted to trust him, wanted to believe that all of this meant something, that it would end with something other than exhaustion and debt. But she couldn't, not anymore. She closed her eyes and tried to sleep, and somewhere in the dark her phone buzzed again. This time she didn't look, because whatever it was, whatever new threat or insult or piece of bad news, it could wait until morning. She'd survived this long. She could survive one more night. But as she finally drifted off, one thought circled her mind like a vulture. How many more nights could she survive before there was nothing left to fight for? The answer came 6 days later. Judge Briggs denied the motion to dismiss. The trial would proceed. Claire got the news from Hale over the phone. "We're going to trial, January 15th. "That's it?" "That's it. Start preparing. This is going to be a fight." Claire hung up. She should have felt relieved, vindicated, something. Instead, she felt nothing, just numb. Emma came home from school that afternoon with a black eye. Claire saw it immediately. "What happened?" "Nothing." "Emma, I got in a fight." "With who?" "Mia." Claire knelt down. "Tell me what happened." Emma's lip trembled. "She said you were a liar, that you made everything up for attention. I told her she was wrong. She pushed me, so I pushed back. And then? She punched me." Claire felt something snap inside her. Not anger, not rage. Something colder. She drove to Mia's house, knocked on the door. Mia's mother answered. Her face went pale when she saw Claire. "Your daughter gave my daughter a black eye," Claire said. "Mia said Emma started it." "I don't care who started it. Keep your daughter away from mine." "Or what?" Claire stepped closer. "Or I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of parent you really are." Mia's mother's face flushed. "Get off my property." "Gladly." Claire turned and walked away. But the damage was done. That night, someone slashed her tires. The next morning, someone broke into her mailbox and stole her mail. The night after that, someone spray-painted her car. "Traitor!" Claire called the police. They took a report. Did nothing. She called Alvarez. He said they were investigating, but his tone said otherwise. Marcus started sleeping on her couch. "This is getting out of hand," he said. "I know. You need to think about leaving, for Emma's sake. I'm not running. This isn't about pride anymore. This is about safety." Claire looked at him. "If I run, they win, and I'm not letting them win." But 3 nights later, someone threw a Molotov cocktail through her living room window. The fire department came. Put it out before it spread. No one was hurt. But the message was clear: leave or die. Claire stood outside her apartment, watching the firefighters pack up, and made a decision. She wasn't leaving. But she wasn't fighting alone anymore either. She called Reeves. "I need help," she said. "What kind?" "The kind that makes people think twice." Reeves was quiet for a moment. "I'll make some calls." 2 days later, Marcus wasn't the only one watching her building. There were others now. Men and women Claire didn't know. Veterans. Friends of Reeves. People who'd been where she was. They didn't wear uniforms. Didn't carry signs. Just stood watch. And the harassment stopped. No more threats. No more vandalism. No more fear. Because the people terrorizing her realized they weren't fighting a lone woman anymore. They were fighting an army. And armies don't back down. Claire stood at her window one night watching the street below and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not much, just a flicker. But it was enough. The trial was 6 weeks away. She could last 6 weeks. She had to. Because if she didn't, then everything she'd lost meant nothing. And Claire Whitaker wasn't about to let that happen. Not now. Not ever. But on the morning of December 1st, Claire woke to find Emma's bed empty. She checked the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room. Emma was gone. Claire's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. A distorted voice spoke. "Drop the case, or you'll never see her again." The phone went dead. And Claire's world shattered. Claire's hand went numb. The phone slipped from her fingers, clattered on the floor. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The apartment tilted sideways, and she had to grab the wall to stay upright. Emma, her daughter, gone. She picked up the phone with shaking hands, tried to call back. The number was disconnected. She tried again. Nothing. Marcus burst through the door, still in yesterday's clothes, eyes wide. "What happened?" "Emma's gone. Someone took her." When? I don't know. She was in bed when I went to sleep. Now she's... Claire's voice cracked. They called. Said to drop the case or I'll never see her again. Marcus was already on his phone calling Reeves. Claire stumbled to Emma's room, tore through the blankets like maybe her daughter was just hiding, just playing a game. But the bed was cold. The window was open. A screen had been cut clean through. Claire ran outside in her bare feet, screaming Emma's name. The veteran standing watch rushed over. Did you see anything? Claire demanded. Did anyone come in? Did you see her? A woman shook her head. We've been out here all night. No one came through the front. The window. Someone came through the window. Reeves arrived in 12 minutes. Claire was still outside, still screaming, still searching. He grabbed her shoulders. Claire, look at me. They took my daughter. I know. We're going to find her. How? They're going to kill her. No, they're not. This is leverage. They won't hurt her if they think you might drop the case. Then I'll drop it. I'll drop everything. I just want her back. Reeves didn't let go. That's what they want you to think. But the second you drop it, she becomes a witness, a liability. You drop the case, they have no reason to keep her alive. Claire's legs gave out. Reeves caught her, lowered her to the ground. We need the FBI, Marcus said. Already called them, Reeves replied. They're on the way. The FBI arrived within the hour. 2 agents. A man named Kowalski, late 40s, built like a linebacker, and a woman named Brenner, younger, sharp eyes that missed nothing. They set up in Claire's apartment, started asking questions. When did you last see your daughter? Kowalski asked. Last night, around 9, she went to bed. And you checked on her? I kissed her goodnight. She was fine. What time did you go to sleep? Midnight, maybe later. And you didn't hear anything? No, nothing. Brenner examined the window. Clean cut, professional. They knew what they were doing. Who's they? Claire demanded. That's what we're going to find out. Kowalski pulled out a recording device. Play me the call. Claire's hand shook as she navigated to her call log, hit play on the voicemail. The distorted voice filled the room. Drop the case, or you'll never see her again. Kowalski and Brenner exchanged a look. Voice modulator, Brenner said. We can analyze it, but don't expect miracles. I don't need miracles. I need my daughter. Kowalski's phone rang. He stepped outside. When he came back, his expression was grim. We pulled phone records. The call came from a burner, purchased 3 days ago at a gas station in Mercer County, paid cash. So you've got nothing. We've got a timeline. Whoever did this has been planning it. Brenner knelt in front of Claire. Ms. Whitaker, I need you to think. Who has the most to lose if this trial goes forward? Brennan? Officer Brennan? Anyone else? Friends, family, colleagues? Claire thought about the woman who'd confronted her outside the courthouse. Brennan's sister. His sister. She grabbed me, said I ruined her brother's life. Name? I don't know, but she was there, outside the pretrial hearing. Kowalski made a note. We'll pull courthouse security footage. See if we can ID her. And then what? You arrest her? While my daughter's out there somewhere? Ms. Whitaker, the best chance we have of finding Emma is figuring out who took her. That means following leads. Claire wanted to scream, wanted to tear the place apart, but she forced herself to sit still, to think. What about Brennan himself, she asked. He's a cop. He'd have access, resources. Kowalski shook his head. He's also under federal scrutiny. Taking your daughter would be insanely stupid. He's already stupid. He grabbed me on camera. Brenner stood. We'll bring him in for questioning, and his sister, but I need you to stay here. Don't talk to the press. Don't make any statements. Let us work. I'm not sitting here doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. You're staying available in case they call again. Claire wanted to argue, but what choice did she have? The agents left. Reeves stayed. So did Marcus and 2 other veterans. Claire sat on the couch, staring at Emma's empty room. Hours passed. No calls, no updates. At noon, Hale arrived. His face was pale. I just heard. Claire, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me find her. The FBI's handling it. There's nothing I can do. Then what good are you? Hale flinched, but he didn't leave. Cross called me. He's offering a deal. Claire looked up. What kind of deal? You drop the lawsuit. Brennan agrees to resign quietly. No admission of guilt. No trial. and your daughter comes home. He admitted it. He knows where she is. He didn't admit anything, but he's offering a way out. It's a trap. Maybe. But what if it's not? Claire stood. If I drop the case, they'll kill her. She's a witness, a loose end. They'll make it look like an accident. Hale didn't argue, because he knew she was right. Then what do? He asked. We find her ourselves. But how? Claire had no leads, no resources, just rage and fear twisting in her chest like barbed wire. At 3 p.m., Kowalski called. We brought Brennan in. He lawyered up immediately, won't say a word. What about his sister? Can't find her. She's not at her listed address. Neighbors say she left 2 days ago. 2 days, right before Emma disappeared. She took her, Claire said. We don't know that. Yes, we do, Kowalski sighed. We're tracking her credit cards, her phone. If she uses either, we'll find her. And if she doesn't, then we keep looking. Claire hung up. Reeves sat next to her. We're not going to just sit here. What are you thinking? Brennan's not the only cop involved. There's Morris, the other officers who showed up that night. Maybe one of them knows something. You think they talk? Depends how scared they are. Marcus stepped forward. I'll make them scared. Claire looked at him. What are you saying? I'm saying we go ask questions, and we don't take no for an answer. It was a bad idea. Dangerous. Probably illegal. Claire didn't care. Let's go. They found Morris first. He lived in a small house on the edge of town, chain-link fence, rusted mailbox. Claire knocked. No answer. She knocked again. The door cracked open. Morris stood there in sweatpants and a stained t-shirt, eyes bloodshot. What do you want? My daughter. Where is she? I don't know what you're talking about. Claire shoved the door open, pushed past him. Marcus followed. Hey, you can't just... Someone took my daughter, and I think you know who. Morris backed up. I don't know anything. You were there that night. You searched me. You followed Brennan's lead. I was doing my job. Your job was to protect people, not terrorize them. Morris's face twisted. You ruined everything. Brennan's career is over. Mine's hanging by a thread, all because you couldn't just cooperate. All because he couldn't leave me alone. He was checking on you. He was harassing me. Morris looked away. I didn't sign up for this. Claire stepped closer. Then help me. Tell me where she is. I don't know. You're lying. I'm not. I swear. I don't know anything about your daughter. Marcus grabbed Morris by the shirt, slammed him against the wall. You better start remembering. I don't know. Morris's voice cracked. Brennan doesn't tell me anything anymore, not since the charges were filed. He cut everyone off. Claire pulled Marcus back. What about his sister? Morris hesitated. What about her? Claire repeated. She's been calling him. A lot. Ever since the pretrial hearing. What did they talk about? I don't know. He always went outside when she called. Where does she live? I don't know. Somewhere out of state. I think Ohio or Indiana. I'm not sure. Claire's phone rang. Kowalski. We got a hit on the sister's credit card, gas station in Fremont, Indiana, 2 hours ago. That's 3 hours from here. We're coordinating with local PD, but it's going to take time. I don't have time. Claire hung up, looked at Marcus. Fremont. We're going. Reeves stood. I'm coming with you. No, stay here, in case they call again. Claire, please, I need someone I trust here. Reeves nodded reluctantly. Claire and Marcus were on the road within 10 minutes. The drive was silent. Claire's mind raced, playing out every scenario. Emma scared. Emma hurt. Emma. She couldn't think about that. They reached Fremont just after 6. Kowalski had texted the gas station address. Claire pulled in, ran inside. The clerk was a teenager, barely 18. Can I help you? Claire showed him a photo of Emma on her phone. Did you see this girl? She might have been with a woman, late 30s, brown hair. The kid squinted. Maybe? I don't know. A lot of people come through. Think, please. There was a woman. She bought snacks, some water, but I didn't see a kid. What kind of car was she driving? I don't remember. Marcus leaned over the counter. Try harder. The kid stepped back. I don't know, man. Maybe a sedan? Dark color? Which way did she go? I don't know. I wasn't watching. Claire wanted to scream. Instead, she thanked him and went back outside. Now what? Marcus asked. Claire didn't know. She stood in the parking lot, staring at the empty road, feeling helpless. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Mom? Emma's voice. Small, scared. Emma, baby, are you okay? Where are you? I don't know. It's dark. There's a woman. She says she'll let me go if you stop being mean to her brother. I'm going to find you, baby. I promise. Mom, I'm scared. I know, but you're going to be okay. Just stay calm. Can you tell me anything about where you are? It smells weird, like old wood, and I can hear trucks, big ones. A truck stop, or a warehouse. Anything else? There's a sign. I can see it through the window. It says, the line went dead. Claire called back, disconnected. She turned to Marcus. Truck stop, or somewhere near a highway. She heard trucks. Marcus pulled up a map on his phone. There's a rest stop 10 miles north, and a freight depot 15 miles east. We checked both. They hit the rest stop first. Nothing. No dark sedan, no sign of Emma. They drove to the freight depot. It was massive, rows of warehouses, dozens of trucks coming and going. Claire's chest tightened. She could be anywhere. Marcus pointed. That building. Look. A dark sedan parked near the back. Ohio plates. Claire's heart pounded. That's her. They parked and approached on foot. The building was old, corrugated metal, half the windows broken. Claire peered through one. Inside, she saw movement, a woman pacing, and in the corner, Emma, tied to a chair. Claire's vision went red. Marcus grabbed her arm. Wait, we call the FBI. There's no time. Claire! She pulled away, ran to the side door, yanked it open. The woman spun around, Brennan's sister. Her eyes went wide. How did you... Claire didn't let her finish. She tackled her, slammed her into the ground. The woman screamed, fought back. Claire didn't care. She drove her fist into the woman's face once, twice. Marcus pulled her off. Claire, stop! Emma was crying. Mom! Claire stumbled to her daughter, tore at the ropes. I've got you. You're okay. I've got you. The ropes came free. Emma collapsed into her arms, sobbing. Behind them, Brennan's sister scrambled to her feet, ran for the door. Marcus caught her, threw her back inside. Sirens wailed in the distance. Kowalski must have tracked Claire's phone. The sister slumped against the wall, blood dripping from her nose. You don't understand. He's my brother. You're destroying him. Claire held Emma tight. He destroyed himself. The FBI arrived minutes later. They took the sister into custody. EMTs checked Emma over, said she was okay. Scared, but okay. Kowalski approached Claire. You shouldn't have come here. But I did. You could have gotten her killed. I got her back. Kowalski sighed. We're going to need a statement. Later. Claire carried Emma to the car. Marcus drove. Emma fell asleep on the way home, her head in Claire's lap. Claire stroked her hair and tried not to cry. When they got back to the apartment, Reeves was waiting. He didn't say anything, just nodded. Claire put Emma to bed, lay down next to her. She didn't sleep, just watched her daughter breathe. The next morning, the news broke. Brennan's sister arrested for kidnapping. Brennan himself under investigation for conspiracy. Claire's phone rang off the hook. Reporters, supporters. Hail. She ignored them all. 2 days later, Kowalski called. We've got evidence linking Brennan to the kidnapping. Phone records, texts between him and his sister. He knew what she was planning. What happens now? He's being charged kidnapping, conspiracy. The civil rights violations are the least of his problems. Claire exhaled. Good. There's more. We've been digging into Brennan's past, other complaints, other incidents. There's a pattern going back years, and the department covered it up. How many? 14 complaints. Most were dismissed. A few settled quietly. Yeah, and that's just what we've found so far. Claire hung up and sat down. 14 people. 14 times Brennan had abused his power, and the system had protected him. Until now. The trial was postponed while the criminal case moved forward. Hale called it a win. Brennan's done. Even if the civil case falls apart, he's going to prison. What about Morris, the others? They're cooperating, testifying against Brennan in exchange for lesser charges. So they get a deal. That's how it works. Claire didn't like it, but she'd take it. Emma went back to school. The other kids were different now, quieter. A few even apologized. Mia's mother sent a card. Claire threw it away. The hospital called. Not Hammond. Someone higher. They wanted Claire to come back. We made a mistake, the voice said. You fired me. We're offering reinstatement, with back pay, and a formal apology. Claire thought about it, about going back to the ER, to the long shifts and the chaos and the blood. I'll think about it, she said. But she already knew the answer. She wasn't going back. Not to a place that threw her away the second it got hard. Instead, she started looking into other options. A clinic across town was hiring, smaller, independent. They didn't care about the headlines. She interviewed, got the job. It paid less, but it was hers. 3 weeks later, Brennan's bail was revoked. He was officially remanded to custody pending trial. Claire watched the news coverage with Emma on the couch. Is he going to jail? Emma asked. Yeah, baby, he is. Good. Claire pulled her close. The civil trial was rescheduled for March, but by then, it didn't matter. Brennan's criminal case had blown the whole thing open. The city settled quietly, a formal apology, a financial settlement, policy changes. Everything Claire had fought for. Hale called with the news. It's over. You won. Claire didn't feel like she'd won. She felt tired. But when she picked Emma up from school that day, when she saw her daughter smiling again, laughing with friends, she thought maybe it was worth it. Maybe. One night in late February, Claire got a call from an unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Miss Whitaker? A man's voice. Unfamiliar. Who is this? My name's Rodriguez. Miguel Rodriguez. Claire froze. Rodriguez? My brother was Antonio Rodriguez. You were his medic in Kandahar. Claire couldn't speak. I just wanted to say thank you, Miguel continued, for everything you did. My mom told me what happened with the police, with the trial. I saw it on the news, and I wanted you to know that my family doesn't blame you for Antonio. You did everything you could, and what you're doing now, standing up to them, it matters. You matter. Claire's throat closed. I'm sorry I couldn't save him. You tried. That's what counts. And you're still trying for other people. That's who my brother was too. So thank you for being like him. Miguel hung up. Claire sat there for a long time, staring at the phone. Then she let herself cry. Not from sadness, from something else. Relief. Release. The weight of 8 years lifting just a little. Emma came out of her room. Mom, you okay? Claire wiped her eyes. Yeah, baby, I'm okay. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And for the first time in months, she meant it. But the next morning, Claire woke to find an envelope slipped under her door. No stamp, no return address. Just her name written in block letters. She opened it. Inside was a single photograph. Claire standing outside the courthouse. Emma beside her, both of them circled in red. And written across the bottom in sharp, angry handwriting, "This isn't over." Claire stared at the photograph until her vision blurred. The red circles, the sharp handwriting, the threat that refused to die. Emma appeared in the doorway, backpack already on. Ready for school? Claire shoved the photo back into the envelope, forced a smile. Yeah, let's go. But her hand shook as she locked the door behind them. Marcus was waiting outside. He'd been staying close ever since Emma came home. Claire handed him the envelope without a word. He looked at the photo, his jaw tightening. When did this show up? This morning, under the door. I was out here all night. No one came through. Then they came through somewhere else. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm calling Kowalski. Don't. Claire, I said don't. The FBI's done their job. Brennan's in custody. His sister's in custody. Whoever sent this is just trying to scare me. And it's working. Claire looked at him. No, it's not. But it was. After dropping Emma at school, Claire drove to the clinic where she'd started working. It was a small building wedged between a laundromat and a pawn shop, paint peeling, sign flickering. But the people who came through the doors needed help. and Claire was good at helping. Dr. Patel, the clinic director, met her at the front desk. He was in his 60s, gray hair, kind eyes. "You okay? You look pale." "I'm fine." "You're a terrible liar." Claire managed a weak smile. Occupational hazard. The morning was busy. A kid with a broken arm, an elderly woman with pneumonia, a man who'd been stabbed in a bar fight and refused to go to the hospital because he had warrants. Claire stitched him up, gave him antibiotics, told him to stay out of trouble. "You sound like my mom," the man said. "Your mom's probably right." At lunch, Claire sat in the break room with a sandwich she didn't eat. Her phone buzzed. A text from Hale. "We need to talk. Call me." She didn't want to, but she called anyway. "What's wrong?" she asked. Cross filed another motion. He's arguing that Brennan's criminal charges are prejudicing the civil case. He wants a mistrial. Can he do that? He can try. The judge will rule next week. Claire rubbed her temples. This never ends, does it? Not until we make it end. And how do we do that? We show up. We fight. We don't give them an inch. Claire hung up and stared at the wall. She was so tired of fighting. That night, she got another envelope. Same handwriting, same threat. This time, it was a photo of Emma at school, playing on the playground, smiling. Claire called Kowalski. He arrived within the hour, examined the photos, the envelopes. No prints, no DNA. Whoever's sending these knows what they're doing. So what do I do? You keep doing what you're doing. We'll increase patrols around your building, around Emma's school. That didn't stop them before. It's the best I can offer. Claire wanted to scream. Instead, she thanked him and closed the door. Emma was in her room, doing homework. Claire sat on the edge of the bed. Hey, baby, can we talk? Emma looked up. Am I in trouble? No, but I need to ask you something. Have you noticed anyone strange around school? Anyone watching you? Emma frowned. No, why? Just checking. If you ever see anyone who makes you uncomfortable, you tell a teacher immediately, okay? Okay, Claire kissed her forehead. I love you. I love you too, Mom. But that night, Claire didn't sleep. She sat by the window with a baseball bat across her lap and watched the street until dawn. The photos kept coming, one every few days, always different, always threatening. Claire at the grocery store, Claire at the clinic, Emma at dance class. Whoever was sending them wanted her to know they were always watching. Marcus suggested moving. Reeves suggested a safe house. Claire refused both. I'm not running, she said. Not again. But the fear was constant now, a weight pressing on her chest every time she left the apartment, every time Emma walked out the door. The motion for a mistrial was denied. The civil case moved forward, but Cross wasn't done. He filed a motion to exclude Claire's military service from the trial, argued it was irrelevant, prejudicial. Hale fought it, lost. The judge says your service doesn't have bearing on whether Brennan violated your rights, Hale explained. It has everything to do with it. I know, but that's the ruling. Claire wanted to throw something. So they get to use my service against me in the psyche eval, but I can't use it to show I'm credible? That's the system. The system's broken. Yeah, it is. The trial was set to begin in 2 weeks. Claire met with Hale every day, going over testimony, reviewing evidence. You're going to be on the stand for hours, Hale warned. Cross is going to come at you hard. He's going to try to make you look unstable, aggressive, unreliable. I've been through worse. Have you? Claire met his eyes. I watched people die in my arms. I think I can handle a lawyer. But the photos kept coming, and the fear kept growing. 1 week before the trial, Claire got a call from the school. Emma had gotten into another fight. This time with a boy who'd said her mom was a troublemaker. Emma had punched him in the nose. The principal wanted to suspend her. Claire drove to the school, sat across from the principal in her sterile office. Emma's behavior is becoming a problem, the principal said. Emma's behavior is a reaction to being bullied. She can't solve problems with violence. She learned that from watching me get harassed by cops and threatened by strangers. So maybe the problem isn't her. Maybe it's everyone else. The principal sighed. Ms. Whitaker, I understand you're under stress. Don't patronize me. My daughter is being targeted because I refuse to be a victim. And instead of protecting her, you're punishing her. We're trying to maintain order. You're trying to make me go away. The principal didn't respond. Claire stood. Emma's not getting suspended. If you have a problem with that, take it up with my lawyer. She walked out, took Emma's hand, and left. In the car, Emma was quiet. I'm sorry, Claire said. For what? For everything, for making your life harder. Emma looked at her. You didn't make it harder, Mom. They did. Claire's throat tightened. You shouldn't have to fight my battles. You shouldn't have to fight them alone. Claire pulled over, hugged her daughter tight. They sat there for a long time. That night, another envelope appeared. But this time it wasn't a photo. It was a note, typed, short. Trial starts Monday. Drop it, or Emma dies. This is your last warning. Claire's hand shook as she read it. Then she called Kowalski, called Hale, called Reeves. They all said the same thing. Increased security, police protection, safe house. Claire said no to the safe house, but she agreed to the protection. 2 officers were assigned to watch her building. 2 more at Emma's school. It should have made Claire feel safer. It didn't. The trial began on a cold Monday morning in March. The courthouse was surrounded by protesters, some supporting Claire, some supporting Brennan. Claire walked through the crowd with Marcus on one side and Hale on the other. Cameras flashed, people shouted, someone threw something that hit her shoulder. Inside, the courtroom was packed, every seat filled, standing room only. Brennan sat at the defense table in a suit that was too nice, too expensive. He looked calm, confident. Claire wanted to wipe that look off his face. Judge Briggs entered. Everyone stood. Let's begin, Briggs said. Hale's opening statement was strong. He laid out the facts. The body cam footage. The witness statements. The pattern of abuse. Cross's opening was stronger. He painted Claire as a troubled veteran seeking attention. A woman who'd turned a routine welfare check into a federal case because she couldn't handle being questioned. The jury listened. Some nodded. Some frowned. Claire couldn't tell which way they were leaning. The first witness was Valdez, the officer who'd verified Emma was inside the studio. She testified that Brennan had escalated the situation unnecessarily. Cross tore her apart on cross-examination, suggested she was biased, that she'd turned on a fellow officer to save her own career. The second witness was a woman who'd been stopped by Brennan 6 months earlier. Same story. Sitting outside a store. Accused of loitering, searched without cause. Cross argued it was irrelevant. The judge allowed it anyway. The third day, Claire took the stand. Hale walked her through the events. What happened, what was said, how she felt. Claire kept her voice steady, her answers clear. Then Cross stood. Miss Whitaker, you were sitting on a curb outside a dance studio at night, correct? Yes. And when Officer Brennan approached you, he asked if you were waiting for someone. Correct? Yes? And you said yes. But you didn't tell him you were a veteran, didn't tell him you worked at a hospital, didn't offer any information that might have put his mind at ease. I shouldn't have to. But you could have, and you chose not to. I answered his questions. Did you? Or did you antagonize him? I sat on a curb. That's not antagonizing. Cross smiled. Let's talk about your service record. You were deployed to Afghanistan, saw combat, lost soldiers under your care. Hale stood. Objection. Relevance. Your Honor, this goes to the witness's state of mind, Cross said. Briggs frowned. I'll allow it, but tread carefully, Mr. Cross. Cross turned back to Claire. You watched people die, didn't you? Yes. And that's traumatic. It was my job, but it affected you. Everyone who serves is affected. Some more than others. You were evaluated by Dr. Palmer. He concluded you showed signs of unresolved trauma. Dr. Vance concluded I didn't. 2 doctors, 2 opinions. Interesting, isn't it? Claire's hands clenched. I don't have PTSD. But you were angry that night, frustrated, tired. You'd worked a double shift. You were sitting alone in the dark. And when a police officer approached you, you saw a threat where there wasn't one. No, I saw a cop abusing his power. Or you saw an enemy because that's what you were trained to see. Objection! Hale was on his feet. Counsel is testifying. Sustained, Briggs said. Mr. Cross asked questions. Cross nodded. Miss Whitaker, Isn't it true that your perception of that night was colored by your experiences in combat? No. Isn't it true that you escalated the situation because you couldn't handle being questioned? No. Isn't it true that you wanted this confrontation? That you wanted to be a victim so you could file a lawsuit and get a payday? Claire stood. No, I wanted to sit on a curb and wait for my daughter. That's it. But your client decided I was a problem. He decided I didn't belong. He decided to put his hands on me without cause. And when I didn't back down, when I didn't apologize for existing, he couldn't handle it. So don't talk to me about escalation. Don't talk to me about perception. I know what happened. And so does everyone watching that body cam footage. The courtroom went silent. Briggs banged her gavel. Ms. Whitaker, please sit down. Claire sat. Her heart pounded. Cross smiled. No further questions. But the damage was done. Or so Claire thought. That night, the trial coverage dominated every news station. Claire's outburst was the headline. Some called it powerful. Some called it unhinged. Claire didn't watch. She put Emma to bed, sat on the couch, and tried to breathe. Her phone rang. Reeves. You okay? I don't know. You did good today. I lost my temper. You told the truth. That's what matters. Claire wanted to believe him. The trial continued. More witnesses, more experts, more arguments. Hale called Dr. Vance, who testified that Claire was mentally sound. Cross called Dr. Palmer, who testified she wasn't. The jury looked confused. On the 8th day, Hale rested his case. Cross called Brennan to the stand. Brennan's testimony was smooth, rehearsed. He painted himself as a dedicated officer doing his job. He said he'd been concerned about Claire, that she'd seemed disoriented, that he'd followed protocol. Hale's cross-examination was brutal. Officer Brennan, how many complaints have been filed against you? I don't know the exact number. 14, does that sound right? If you say so. And how many of those were sustained? None. Because the department dismissed them, not because they were unfounded. I can't speak to that. Can't or won't. Brennan's jaw tightened. I did my job. Every time. Your job includes grabbing women without cause? I didn't grab her. I detained her. For what crime? Suspicion of public intoxication. But she wasn't intoxicated. The tests came back clean. I didn't know that at the time. You could have asked. You could have verified. Instead, you assumed. Because that's what you do, isn't it? You assume people are guilty and make them prove they're not. That's not true. Then explain the pattern. 14 complaints, all dismissed, all from people who look like they can't fight back. Cross objected. Briggs sustained it, but the point was made. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Claire didn't leave her apartment. She paced. She cleaned. She tried to distract herself. Emma stayed home from school. They watched movies, played board games, pretended everything was normal. On the 3rd day, the call came. Jury's back, Hale said. We need to go. Now. Claire's hands shook as she got dressed. Marcus drove her to the courthouse. The crowd was even bigger now. Inside, the courtroom was silent. Brennan sat at the defense table, stone-faced. The jury filed in. Claire tried to read their expressions. Couldn't. Briggs addressed the foreperson. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. Please read it. The foreperson stood. In the matter of Whitaker versus Brennan, we find in favor of the plaintiff. We award damages in the amount of $2 million. The courtroom erupted. Cheers, gasps, shouting. Briggs banged her gavel. Order! Claire couldn't breathe. Hale was smiling, saying something, but she couldn't hear him. $2 million. She'd won. But it wasn't about the money. It was about the look on Brennan's face, the shock, the disbelief. It was about the jury saying, "We believe you." It was about vindication. Outside, the press swarmed. Hale gave a statement. Claire said nothing, just walked to the car with Marcus. Emma was waiting at home with Reeves. When Claire walked in, Emma ran to her. Did you win? Yeah, baby, we won. Emma hugged her tight. I'm proud of you, Mom. Claire's eyes filled with tears. I'm proud of you, too. That night, Claire sat on the couch with Emma asleep beside her and stared at the ceiling. She'd won. But Brennan was still out there, free on bail while his criminal case crawled forward, and the photos had stopped. But the fear hadn't. 2 days later, Kowalski called. "We found who was sending the photos." Claire sat up. "Who?" "Cross, Brennan's lawyer." "What?" "He hired a PI to tail you, document your movements. The PI took it too far. Started sending threats. Cross claims he didn't know." "You believe him?" "No, but we can't prove it. The PI's taking the fall. He's being charged with stalking and harassment." "What about Cross?" "He's facing a bar complaint. Might lose his license, but he won't see jail time." Claire closed her eyes. "Of course not." "I'm sorry, Claire." "Yeah, me too." But it was something. Not enough, but something. The settlement was finalized in April. $2 million. After legal fees and taxes, Claire walked away with just over $1 million. It was more money than she'd ever seen. She paid off her debts, bought a small house in a better neighborhood, set up a college fund for Emma, and donated $500,000 to a legal defense fund for people who couldn't afford to fight back. The hospital called again, offered her job back. Again. Claire declined. Again. Instead, she took a position at the clinic. Full-time. Better pay. Benefits. Dr. Patel was thrilled. "You're sure? You could go anywhere." "I want to be here, with people who need help." Patel smiled. "Then welcome aboard." Brennan's criminal trial began in June. Claire wasn't required to testify, but she attended anyway. The trial was short. The evidence was overwhelming. Kidnapping, conspiracy, abuse of power. The jury convicted him on all counts. Sentencing was set for August. Claire was there for that too. Brennan stood before the judge, still in his expensive suit, still looking like he couldn't believe this was happening. The judge gave him 15 years. Brennan's face went white. Claire felt nothing. No satisfaction, no joy, just tired relief. Morris got 3 years for his role in covering up complaints. Brennan's sister got 10 for kidnapping. Cross lost his law license. The department was placed under federal oversight. New policies were implemented. Mandatory bias training, body cam requirements, independent review boards. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Emma started 4th grade in the fall. New school, new friends, new beginning. She joined the soccer team, made honor roll, stopped having nightmares. One night in September, Claire tucked her into bed. "You doing okay, baby?" "Yeah, I like it here." "Me too." Emma looked at her. "Mom, are you happy?" Claire thought about it, about the trial, the threats, the fear, the fight, about the settlement, the new house, the new job, about Emma safe in bed, about waking up without dread. "Yeah," Claire said. "I think I am." "Good. You deserve it." Claire kissed her forehead. "So do you." In October, Claire got a letter, no return address. But this time, the handwriting was different, neater. Inside was a short note. "Thank you for what you did. I was one of the 14. I never had the courage to fight, but you did. And because of you, I'm filing my own case. You gave me hope. J.M." Claire read it 3 times. Then she put it on the fridge. A week later, another letter came. Then another. People she'd never met, thanking her, sharing their stories. Some were filing cases. Some were just grateful someone had stood up. Claire read every one. In November, a reporter asked if she'd speak at a police reform rally. Claire said no. But then Emma said, "You should do it, Mom. People need to hear from you." So Claire said yes. The rally was small, maybe 100 people. Claire stood on a makeshift stage, microphone in hand, and looked at the crowd. "I'm not a hero," she started. "I'm just someone who sat on a curb and refused to be treated like a criminal. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But I'm glad I fought, not because I won, but because now other people know they can fight too. The system's broken, but it's not unfixable. We fix it by standing up, by saying no, by refusing to let fear silence us. That's all I did. And if I can do it, so can you." The crowd applauded. Claire stepped down, hands shaking, heart pounding. Emma was waiting. "You did good, Mom." "Thanks, baby." They drove home together. The radio played softly. Emma hummed along. Claire looked at her daughter and felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. In December, Claire got a call from Reeves. "I've got something for you." "What?" "A job offer." The VA's looking for someone to train medics, teach them how to handle trauma, how to cope when they come home. They want someone with experience, someone who's been there. Claire thought about it. I've got a job. I know, but this is part-time, weekends. You'd be helping veterans, people like us. Claire was quiet. Think about it, Reeves said. She did. And 2 weeks later, she accepted. The first class was in January, 10 veterans, all younger than Claire, all carrying weight she recognized. She stood in front of them, nervous, unsure. I'm Claire Whitaker, she said. I'm a combat medic. I've lost soldiers. I've made mistakes. I've been broken and put back together. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay, that you're not alone, and that the fight doesn't end when you come home. It just changes. But you can win. I promise. One of the veterans raised her hand. How do you know? Claire smiled. Because I did. The class went well. Claire found she liked teaching, liked helping people find their way through the dark. It wasn't the same as nursing, but it mattered. Emma turned 9 in February. Claire threw her a party, invited the whole class. No one declined. Emma blew out the candles on her cake, wished for something she wouldn't tell. Claire watched her daughter laugh with her friends and felt her chest tighten. She'd almost lost this, almost lost everything. But she'd fought, and she'd won. Not just the trial, not just the settlement, but the right to live without fear, the right to stand tall, the right to say no, the right to be seen. In March, on the anniversary of the trial's end, Claire drove to the Riverside Dance Academy. She parked across the street, watched parents dropping off their kids, watched Emma run inside with her friends. No one stared. No one whispered. She was just another mom now. Claire got out of the car, walked to the curb where it had all started. She sat down. It felt different now. Lighter. A patrol car rolled past, slowed. Claire tensed. The officer inside looked at her, young, uncertain. Then he nodded and kept driving. Claire exhaled. She sat there for a while, watching the world move around her. Then she stood, brushed off her jeans, and went inside to watch her daughter dance. Because that's all she'd ever wanted, to sit, to wait, to be left alone. And now, finally, she could. Not because the fight was over, but because she'd proven she could win. And in a world that tried to make her invisible, that tried to silence her, that tried to break her, Claire Whitaker had refused. She'd stood up. She'd fought back. She'd survived. And she'd made sure that anyone who came after her would know they could too. That was her legacy. Not the money, not the headlines, not the verdict, but the message. You don't have to be perfect to deserve respect. You don't have to be loud to be heard. You just have to refuse to disappear. And Claire Whitaker would never disappear again. She walked out of the studio, got in her car, and drove home. Emma would need dinner, homework help, a bedtime story, normal things, small things, the things that mattered. And as Claire pulled into her driveway, as she saw the lights on inside her house, as she heard Emma's laughter through the window, she smiled. Because this was enough. This was everything, and no one could take it away. Not anymore.